portion of Fox 43 AM Live is sponsored by Endeavor Private Wealth.
And we're back with Chris McGee, Managing Partner at Endeavor Private Wealth, for this week's segment on investing and wealth management. Good morning.
Good morning.
Chris, you've constantly made it so clear to us that building, managing, and preserving wealth isn't a feat of magic. However, would you agree that investors may be able to improve their financial decision-making by understanding why people often fall for magician's tricks?
Dane, it's always good to be with you and our viewers. There are some interesting parallels between magic and investing that relate to perception, strategy, and behavior. For example, magicians are masters of manipulation and misdirection. They want to control the attention and make us believe something that isn't real. And investors are barraged by financial headlines, opinions, and commentary. News and stories ranging from pending financial calamity to prospects for spectacular gains. All that market noise and the fads and the hype can divert investors' attention from more thoughtful and measured perceptions of the economy and investment markets.
So magicians are also masters of control, aren't they?
Absolutely. They depend on controlling the narrative and all the elements of their act. Investors, on the other hand, have no control over interest rates or inflation, the economy, corporate earnings, and domestic employment, not to mention global affairs like trade and tariffs. However, there is something that we can exert control over, and that's the level of risk that they're exposed to, which includes portfolio risk, non-portfolio risk, and behavioral risk.
And how can investors, again, control those risks?
Portfolio risk can be addressed through thoughtful development and implemented investment plans tailored to an investor's unique situation, their time horizon and investment objective, and specific risks including, but not limited to, liquidity and leverage, credit and concentration, cyclical event, and volatility risk. Now, non-portfolio risk, such as longevity, long-term care, and property and casualty, cybersecurity risk, can be addressed by utilizing insurance and other asset protection strategies.
And what about behavioral risk? Magicians are masters at influencing their subjects' behavior. What should investors be on guard for?
You're spot on, Dane. Magicians often play to the audience to influence particular subjects' behaviors. That's similar to many ways how investors respond to the madness of crowds or the herd behavior, where they follow blindly what everyone else is doing at the same time instead of thinking what would be in their best interest.
Chris, any final thoughts you'd like to share about the difference between magicians and financial professionals?
There are two important distinctions to keep in mind. First, magicians always try to keep the mechanics of their performance a secret, whereas a trusted financial professional should always be forthright and crystal clear about the advice and guidance he or she conveys to a client. And second, a magician's performance is designed to come with a bit of flair and theatrics. That's what makes it interesting. However, oftentimes the best performance of a trusted financial professional can be delivered would be boring in comparison, such as the magic of compounding interest, turning the small, modest initial investment into something much more substantial over time.
Well, Chris, before I do a little magic of my own and make us disappear, I want to remind our audience, if they'd like more information about Endeavor Private Wealth, please visit EndeavorPW.com.
The preceding portion of Fox 43 AM Live was sponsored by Endeavor Private Wealth.